Hey guys, today is just a day we're just going to have a discussion. Go ahead and watch the previous videos leading up to this. Really, today is just an open floor to talk about different topics, but today's topic we're going to specifically touch on is toxicity in the world today. We see a lot of negative things. We see stuff happening in our world where it just seems so negative or toxic, but we need to figure out how we can be as individuals in light of what's happening today. So we'll just kind of make it an open floor discussion and um, kind of see where this goes. So uh, thank you for coming in, Scott, and just having a good talk. Always nice to see you.
Good to be here. Yeah, this world is definitely pretty toxic, but we know this world is really a world that gives us some energy, so to speak. I like to say um, this world gives us an energy to be or to find who we truly are, because we understand that in the political environment, the economic environment, the injustice that is happening, that can be used for good. And what I mean by that is, even though it's not good that in what we're seeing, we see the atrocities in this world, from war to famine to economic injustice. Uh, People just don't seem to have a fair shot in growing, their life, just because they're behind the eight ball financially, and they just can't seem to do what they want to do. They have a lot of fear. But we can use that energy. We can use that contrast of negative, toxic messaging and just influences. We can use it to propel us to find out who we truly are. And we talked about in the last talk, we talked about that each one of us has this divine spark within us. We have something within us that is truly a loving, kind, compassionate, understanding, energetic person, almost like a child sitting at the dinner table with adults where that they respect. There's this energy. I get to sit with the adults, right? And I get to talk about things that I want to talk about with these adults. And what I mean by that is, we're very excited to talk and speak our opinion to people that we respect. And if we all can kind of get into our headspace and our heart space to say, I respect you, you're like the adult at the table that I want to speak to and express myself, that is a state of being that I think we all should get at. Because right now, we have a lot to say. This world is just upside down. It doesn't make sense. It just seems to be in contrast to our divine spark, our good nature that is hiding within us. So I think we need to talk about that. What is this goodness that we know we have within us? This good part of us that is authentic and real from birth. But how do we find it? How do we grow it, basically? And we talked about that, how to find it before, but maybe we need to kind of start gearing forward a little bit more, kind of put a little bit of pressure on the accelerator and say, okay, let's try to grow this part of us that is good, authentic, that we know this world is not what we want it to be, but I've got to change on the inside. I got to be the authentic me and express myself to you because I respect you. I want to give that part of me to you, and vice versa eventually. So maybe
Right.
let's talk about that.
Yeah. So when you say that kind of stuff, we have to express our feelings, our opinions, and we all have to, you know, get along with that. I think what today is people are very egoistic and they're about themselves and their points of view, and they, you know, it's almost like there's no interconnection between the two groups. For
Mm,
instance, politics. You have the
yep.
Democratic side, the Republican side.
Yeah.
Both sides have really good things to talk about in discussions that we can come together, but it almost seems like nowadays nobody really knows what's happening. We don't know what the plan is on the Republican side, what's the plan on the Democratic side. No, there's no transparency, and people are afraid to speak their mind. People are afraid to say their opinions because other people aren't going to like it. For instance, with the most recent political debates, we're not even debating about things anymore. We're not talking about topics that we need to address and that we can work together to figure out things. It's more of we're going to say things to make the other party look worse, or we need to make ourselves look better. And they're hesitant to say specific things, not necessarily things they believe in, to really appeal to have people like them. But I think we need to understand on how can we get to a state collectively where we can start talking about things uh without that judgment, I
Mm,
guess, in
yeah.
a way. But um for us individuals, at the individual state, how can we get to a state that we can um participate in the group discussions?
Yeah. I think when we all sit down, let's just say we talk about something in the economy, we talk about something in this world that we all have some care and concern about. Whether it be just the price of groceries, anything from the price of groceries to freedom of travel, and all of that, without any kind of restriction, so to speak. I think whenever we come together and start talking about these things, we have to have a general sense of concern and care for one another, an attitude of concern and care. Because in that state, when we sit down together in a circle or whatever and just start talking, one person talks, the next person talks, the next person, and so on, in a circle-like format, that conversation where one person talks, the next person talks, and no one's over, talking over each other or whatever, or dominating the conversation. When we do that from a heart space of care and concern to figure out this situation, would it be, again, it could be, the economy, our health, anything. Sitting down and talking about it and listening to each other with that attitude of care and concern. Everyone adds something and the next person adds to it, doesn't negate it, adds to it. I think then when we start opening up our hearts and talking about it, with everyone talking in turn, something beautiful starts to happen. The intelligence of that conversation in the group starts to take on its own identity. Something starts to enliven. Something starts to happen when everyone takes turns and listens full mind, full heart, and everyone starts to contribute. Then the spirit of that connection of listening and receiving and talking, there becomes a feeling of connection. That connection is the answer, not I get an idea about the best way of helping us get healthier or fix the economy. It's the spirit of connection where you and me are like family. You and I are brothers, and you feel that connection. That connection, it's warm, it's not competitive, it's exciting, and we talk from that connection. That identity of connection is who I am and who you are. So maybe that's a way to help abate these negative, toxic, I'm against you, you're against me kind of bad connection, we can have like, let's talk about it with a heart of an attitude of care and concern that then starts to emanate ideas and positive energies towards each other. Because it's like, anytime we have a negative thing that happens, let's get together and talk about how to make this thing positive, but doing it together in a collaborative kind of way where everyone's contributing and excited to talk about it at the dinner table with people they respect, like adults at the table. Then we start opening up and everyone's doing it. And then this energy starts to rise, a spirit of connection starts to rise up. And then we start talking about things that matter, but in that spirit of connection, then that spirit of connection then becomes the answer and actually manifests a good answer to help the economy, the health, whatever it may be, anything.
Right. And whenever you say that, the spirit of connection, everybody coming together, and it's about this intention that we all have towards each other. That is the answer. And it, regardless of what the actual answer is at the end, that connection between the group is happiness. and
Yes.
we all can work together. Maybe in the ego state, you're like, oh, that doesn't really benefit me. That's the separation.
Yeah.
But whenever everyone's together, we're helping each other in fulfilling all the needs that have to be done. So whenever we talk about it, I think back to like our primitive, human nature. Why is it so, fun to go camping and stuff, where you have nothing, you're not worried about anything, you just have the basic foods in your cooler, and then you go out with a group of friends around a fire, right? You're at the primitive state. There's nothing, you don't have to worry about your bills, you don't have to worry about anything in the world. You're with the group of friends that are just existing together, and whatever
Yeah.
you're communicating, that state together, sitting around that fire. Yes, we can talk about the, things of our needs, but
Mhm.
the connection that happens between that is life. That's the living, that you're just enjoying that presence with other people about different topics. It doesn't matter what the topic is. That
Mhm.
is what I think about when we talk about connection, stuff like that. And
Exactly.
in
Exactly.
in essence, that needs to be that same thing where yes, we need to talk about our needs in that specific time point, when we're talking about politics and all that stuff. But if we have that intention of we all are coexisting together and we are living this world together in the grand scheme of things, not just 10 people or a small little group around a fire. Now we're a large nation around a fire, right? How do we come to our state together and enjoy this?
Exactly.
Yes, this is what the
We,
world needs.
this is what the world needs. The world is on fire consciously, and a lot of us are not conscious of it. The world wants good connections. I want to be able to go to work, walk into my house, go see my neighbor with that feeling of brotherly love for one another,
Yes.
sisterly love, human connection. That human connection actually is this. It's like that it's a conscious vessel. When we're conscious and connected at the heart, we feel this love for each other. In that state, we can be our true authentic self. And what that authenticity is, it's the essence that you are before you were brainwashed from all the influences of this egoistic, selfish, defend and pretend who I am kind of world. Defending and pretending of what you're not needs to be done. That time is over. We need to open our hearts, be authentic, and be truly who we are with each other, for each other. And it's like we talked about in the last talk. If I can open my heart and give you something that you need from me, and you do the same back to me. It's like having the cake and eating it too, but I'm giving you the cake. You're giving me the cake. You're eating the cake that I give you. I'm eating the cake you give me, which means you're giving me your authentic self, and I'm giving you my authentic self. You need me and I need you authentically. Everyone needs each other authentically. And that is a state where we start creating a new way of living, a new way of eating properly, closer to nature, sitting at the bonfire, sitting at the fire, where everything else does not matter. Nothing matters. The debts don't matter. Status in this world doesn't matter, because that's all false. That's the defend and pretend kind of false personality, the ego that is very selfish and trying to get for itself. But if I'm trying to connect with you and you're trying to connect with me, and that spirit spreads out in like a big circle, we start to feel that fire, that fire that you were talking about. That fire represents this fire of love and connection between us. I mean, come on, that's what we want. We don't want the $1 million, the 500 million bucks. We want that $500 million connection that gives us this feeling of immortality. Nothing matters except that moment. That's where the divine is. That's where God is.
Right.
So if we come together with an authentic way of connecting, a proper way of connecting, then all the negativity goes away. It burns up. It's like if we just bring all of our negative ideas and negative judgments of each other, write it down on a piece of paper, and we throw it in the fire and it burns up. What does that fire do? It gets bigger, because I'm getting rid of my judgment, my egoistic judgment of you, and you the same to me. We put it in the freaking fire and it explodes, and that fire represents this love that is really burning between us. That's this alchemical shift from negative to positive. And that is something we all need to do in this toxic world. And then we become identified in the connection, and everyone has a different way of adding to it. Everyone has a different way of making that fire grow even more.
Right. And yeah, whenever you say it like that, that gives me goosebumps on just how we just need to be. And in that topic, we will dive further into it for ourselves on, how can we change ourselves, or at least identify how we can be that. Because there are times where you're going to go in the world, you're going to encounter many different situations where you want to have that spark, and you're separated from it, but that separation from that is what we need to identify to be able to get ourselves to that intention.
Yeah.
Connection.
Yes, that intention is, I am here for you. I'm here to add to that flame of love.
Yes.
It sounds hairy-fairy. It sounds like it's, everyone who's listening, it's very real. It exists. It's what we all need. We just need to know, we need to feel safe. We need to feel okay about it. We need to feel like, okay, what is this feeling of connection? It's attributed, well, it's this feeling of connection is like, the best way in my experience, and those who I've experienced it with will explain it like this. I bring my offering of love to you into the fire, whatever it may be. And, there's this whole idea of, and this sounds kind of funny, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I'm not. I sacrifice something into the fire. It's my egoistic intentions, it can be, in the Bible, it was talked about, I'm bringing a calf, an unblemished, lamb or whatever. I throw it in the fire. What these animals represent is a part of us, okay? A pure part of us that I'm putting into the fire, a pure intention into the fire to grow the fire even more. What that is, it's a fire to find God, to find in the connection between us, to find the holy, When we all do that, it creates this inferno of love where everyone's identity dissolves and no one exists except this godly love. We live in that. That's where we need to be. That's the highest state of being that we could be at. The Christians call it the Holy Spirit. It's a desire, it's a fire to connect with God through love thy neighbor as thyself in brotherly love, like we're talking about. That becomes a fire that just envelops everyone, and no one exists except the Creator, God himself, and everyone acts from that state, your state, my state, of the Creator, because the Creator emanates through you different than it emanates through me. That's what makes the fire burn. We're all unique, but we're all unified, connected, and we're all one God in that state.
Yes.
That's it.
That's absolutely beautiful.
This conversation is the conversation we need to have.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, go ahead. What we'll do is we'll kind of end this video here. This way we can kind of sit on the topics and the discussion that we've had today. And we can also kind of develop what other questions people may have based off of this. If you have questions, please, write it down in the comments. We would love to address it. Any other topics that you guys would love to talk about, we would love to hear it and also discuss as well. And just like we're sitting at the fire, we want you to join us. We want you to be here, and we would love to just have these discussions and connect. And thank you, Scott, for having us on here. I mean, this is another thing that just brightens my day. So, and this is amazing.
It's wonderful. Yeah, Calvin, you've done a great job with this channel. And for all of you who want to be a part of this conversation, let us know, chime in on the comments, let us know how to get a hold of you. Maybe Calvin, we can like give our emails and just say, hey, reach out to us to an email. We'd love to bring you on and maybe have a conversation with you on this channel, because we're trying to build this flame of fire.
Yes.
Where everyone is coming with good connections and bringing our authentic true self,
Yes.
which is this divine spark that wants to grow and grow into something beyond imagine. So anyway,
amazing.
More to
All
come.
right. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode.
See you later.
Thank you.